to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. Plenty of blame to go around. Plenty of blame to go around. Join Dave Cyrus and Marissa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Hey guys, this is Blamestorming. I'm Marissa Smith. I've got Dave Cyrus with me.
Yes, thank you, Nigel.
I've got Nico White with me.
Yes, ma'am, you do.
And I've got Mark Gerber with me.
Holler at your boy.
I'm hollering.
What a collection of awesome voices we have today.
100%.
Holler at your boyfriend.
I would definitely listen to all four of our voices. I would listen to this podcast.
We are soothing people.
This is a good podcast. The first one was really great. Well, we don't know how this one's going to go.
We don't.
The first one's like, wow, that's on point.
This one could still be a flaming piece of shit. We don't know yet.
The second one could be.
100% it could be.
Nico's leaving halfway through, which kind of sucks.
Hey, man, look, don't tell the people when I'm going. Maybe I just stop talking. Act like y'all ain't hear that, people.
It's a conspiracy theory that I'm putting forward.
We're going to still ask you questions after you leave and just make fun of you.
Just mimic my voice. You know what I'm saying? I used to hate that.
I'll do that. Yeah, I can do that. I can totally.
I used to hate when motherfuckers would mimic my voice, man. That shit was
that's why we will never do it in front of you.
No, 100%. But when I'm gone.
But when you're gone, yeah.
Have fun.
Totally. So now, Dave, did you hear about Trump with this new deadline in Syria?
Yeah, Trump is saying you got to finish the job in a month or we're leaving Syria. You know, that thing that he said Obama can't do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this is just one of those examples of like how many ways. I mean, on one hand, it's the ways Trump is finding out all these things he attacked Obama for were completely hypocritical. They weren't really about mistakes Obama made. But of course, it doesn't matter because he's a pathological liar. He thinks anything Obama did was bad because Obama made fun of him once in retaliation for being accused of smuggling himself out of Kenya when he was 1 day old. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I think he's just mad because Obama's hands are so much bigger.
That's part of it. But Trump is just doing
and Obama's
this.
wife has a much better ass and face. To me.
And Obama's respected as a man and a president.
Some people like Melania, and she does look like Orochimaru from Naruto. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're too old to be my friend anyway.
Well, they're both too young for me to even look out like that.
And but yeah, he wants.
What are they in their 20s?
He wants us out of Syria, and his advisors said no. But the problem is, right this moment, Trump is no longer listening to advisors because the problem with Trump up until now is that he just didn't have enough confidence in himself to make tough decisions, and now he's realizing that he had it within himself all along. You don't need a chief of staff. You don't need anyone. Every decision you make is right.
Well, now he's surrounding himself with more and more yes men.
Yeah, which he already was. And now...
Well, no, he was initially surrounding himself with people he respected that had praised him in some way, but they weren't necessarily people that were going to agree with everything that he said. Right. And they were going to say, with all due respect, Mr. Trump, I understand your feeling about this, but I think this is more prudent. Now he's surrounding himself with people who will just...
grovel.
Just be, what do you call it? When someone's reflecting off you, like they'll
mirrors,
or they'll just be
people. He just wants to be echoed.
Yeah, echo chamber, that's echo chamber. That's what I was looking for.
That's why he wanted his children to be in his cabinet and was shocked that you can't just do that.
Right.
Yeah,
all the people that depend on me can't work for me. No, Mr. President, we can't do that. It's a conflict.
He's never been. I mean, he's terrified of an objective playing field. He's terrified of things being even, where he doesn't have control. I mean, that's. He wants his children there because he wants people that he can destroy if he has the desire to, people that he feels are beholden to him.
And I don't think there's everyone he's pushed out, I think that it boils down to the fact that they just didn't acquiesce to anything he said.
Well, you did
everything. They didn't acquiesce to everything.
Right. Everything.
Right. You don't.
They didn't kiss his ass good enough.
Right.
Yeah,
you don't get to draw a line.
Yeah.
All of Trump's
once you diverge from him in some way. That's enough for him to dump
the thing
you.
that those people did not understand
is
a
fucking king. He's not a president.
Yes, exactly. Trump does not make decisions based on what he thinks are going to be good decisions. Mm-hmm. He makes decisions based on what he thinks people who are loyal to him in the country would make sense to them.
Yeah,
so when he says
and a bit of his gut too, but that kind of goes hand in hand.
He's just making decisions that he thinks someone who knows nothing about this would think is a good decision.
Well,
we need to leave Syria because we don't. I said stupid wars. And Obama, so we should leave Syria.
Right.
he just says things that sound like someone who doesn't know what they're talking about would be like, yeah, that sounds right.
But
But that's
Putin would want us to leave Syria.
100%.
So like this is kind of like everyone keeps saying like he's like, oh, he's so tough on Russia, but like this
Nobody's
is
saying
exactly,
he's tough on Russia,
no,
are they?
He keeps saying
Oh,
he's
him,
saying
yeah, fuck
that
him.
He's so tough on Russia.
Yeah, well, that's full of shit.
But this is exactly what Putin wants, and I think that it's interesting that like after he gets on the phone with Putin on the
we're out.
20th,
Yeah.
and then here you go 3
and
weeks
then when
later,
Putin poisoned
now
those
it's
people,
like,
he was like, well, if he did that, that was not very nice.
yeah, it's like, oh, well, but I'm sure he had a good
Soft
reason
shit.
to.
right.
Yeah, soft shit.
It could have been a 500-pound guy on his couch who
You know.
poisoned dozens of English people.
Could have been.
And by the way, we just have to acknowledge for a second, when Russia says they didn't poison those people, they're doing that as a lip service thing because they wouldn't have used an impossible to get poison if they didn't want everyone to know, don't fuck with Russia.
Exactly.
Right.
They're going out of their way to make sure we know they did this because you don't use plutonium to kill people
Right.
if you want it to look like street crime.
Right.
They would have
Yep.
just had these people stabbed.
Right.
Stab,
Had the
shot,
taken.
Right.
Drano.
They want everyone to know this is what happens when you defy us.
Yeah, but at the
Yes.
same time, like, how dare you accuse us of this
Right.
on the surface?
Because it's a game they play.
Yeah,
You sound like Dick Gregory.
they're
Kudos
basically
to
they're
you.
basically
It's the
saying
game they
they're
play.
basically saying, like, well, innocent until proven guilty. You can't prove it.
Not even. It's the dude in the hood that sells drugs, and one of his little homies takes the fall. But before the little homie takes the fall, he kills 2 or 3 people, and the big guy gets to go like, "Yo, see how your friends are dead? I kind of set that up, but you ain't gonna tell nobody, right? Because my little homies take the rap for that shit.
And the reason this
So
is
it's
happening,
like jail for 15 years or death. You make your pick.
You can take your pick, but whether or not, no matter what you pick, what my will be done.
Right, exactly.
I won't get touched because my hands are gonna be off it. Only
Right.
you gonna know, and you
Right.
gonna know.
Right.
And because you know, it's good enough for me. Because ain't no fingers pointing back at me.
and this is happening because Trump is president,
Yes.
and Putin is saying this is our opportunity to flex some muscle
Yep.
while America's president is too much of a pussy to stop anything we do.
Yep.
And let's start murdering all these ex-spies in other countries and
Mhm.
doing all the stuff that we knew we couldn't get away with if Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama were president.
And it's
But-
not even so much as a pussy, it's that Trump's beholden to them.
But it's also the other thing that you mentioned, Cyrus, where you say he talks like somebody who doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on. You gotta remember,
He really doesn't.
Trump's dad had Alzheimer's. Okay?
Mhm.
Trump has all of the symptoms of sundown syndrome. Now, my grandma had that shit to where after about 6 o'clock, whenever the sun starts to set on the East Coast, you'll notice his Twitter will fire the fuck up, especially at around between 10 to 2 in the morning. That's when my grandma will go her craziest. He has all those same symptoms. When you see him in the morning, he looks so controlled. He walking away from people and shit.
Okay, that's not fair. He probably just has amphetamine poisoning.
It could just be that.
It could be both.
Yes, I think it's both. I think they giving him amphetamines to fucking subdue his sundown.
Oh no, I
syndrome.
think he's been on amphetamines for 25 years. I think that
Oh, okay, gotcha.
that's the theory that he's been, because he does have a lot of these symptoms.
He doesn't
long
sleep
term.
much.
Yeah.
He doesn't sleep much.
No, he don't sleep
Oh
much.
no, let me run down some of the things that amphetamine poisoning over long term does. Delusions of grandeur, paranoia, inability to focus, inability to sleep.
Mhm.
You're basically describing the guy.
I mean, being a billionaire that's been in debt umpteenth amount of times will also do that to you. I ain't never been a billionaire, but I've been a thousandaire, and I've
Neither is
been-
he.
Right, yeah, facts. Then I woke up with no money. And it's like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna be able to go to sleep at 9 tonight like I planned. So I don't know, but the motherfucker is half I don't want to say retarded. That's not the word.
No,
But-
he's definitely showing symptoms of something, because you watch old tapes of him. He was a pompous, malignant asshole.
Yes.
But he
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 wasn't.
didn't sound so crazy.
He didn't sound mentally ill.
No,
the
he
way
was
Yeah.
does
he was
now.
controlled.
He's also not as he wasn't as old. Trump is fucking old, man.
Yeah, he's
Sanders isn't that much older than Trump.
No, he's
like a year,
yeah,
2
about-
years.
less than 2 years older. About that, yeah.
Right, but he just wears like his gray.
Yeah.
Hillary looked a little younger because she puts on makeup and that fake blonde hair and shit. Trump is an old man.
He's an unhealthy old man,
Yeah.
and he talks the way ignorant old people think that they know everything.
Right.
The way that they just think everything is so ridiculously simplistic,
Mm-hmm.
and that the simplest answer is always the right one.
Right.
Yep.
And that's why he makes decisions. That's why when he says, he just keeps repeating, people voted illegally. Everyone, everything he says sounds like a vamping, improvising, confused old man.
Yes.
He's
Sounds
Straight
like
up.
vaudeville.
He's confused.
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to
He's confused and
everyone
he's
else.
base. I mean, his instincts are pretty ugly as well.
But
So it's a combination of those things.
But see, now the thing
Because
with
there's confused people that are benign.
right.
Right.
But the
And
reason
there's
why
crazy people that are benign. But
Yeah, yeah.
he's definitely.
But see, now the reason why that resonates is because he's simple, like you mentioned, right? All his answers are everything in its simplest form. Instead of 50 over 100, it's 1/2. But that resonates with most people because they think it's that easy. They don't know. They don't know the intricacies of being in war,
And
being in Syria, why we're in Syria, why we need to hold that fort down.
And those simplistic people are the people who look at someone like Barack Obama. And I've heard people literally say, well, he would just use big words to intentionally confuse you.
And he wasn't even using big words. They said his speeches were like on an 8th grade level, while Trump's are on like a 5th or 4th.
Yeah,
It wasn't even like he was talking to Harvard
If someone
graduates.
says that they think Barack Obama was intentionally trying to confuse you, that person is
Crazy.
fucking stupid.
Dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything he ever said that I was.
Oh, he was talking to the
confused by.
masses.
He said that Michelle Obama had true grit. Now, I know that to be a breakfast ingredient. Fucking weirdos. Learn to fucking read and comprehend.
When he says things like,
I mean,
immigrants,
Obama was brilliant.
immigrants bad. He knows. Not only now, he obviously hates those people,
Border week.
but he knows
Mexican rapists.
that people in this country who feel like they're being left behind, who feel resentful of the smart people being in charge, are going to say, well, you see, intelligence was never even real because look how smart he is despite not being able to show it in any conceivable way.
But you
He
know
can't
what?
speak like a man who's smart.
I
and he
kinda-
But he
is.
got into the White House.
Yeah.
Hey,
Won.
he must be doing something
But see,
right.
now
Sad.
here's my contention with that, right? And it's something that Mark said back in episode 1, which was
This
because
feels like Star Wars now. God.
right, you hilarious. You mentioned being liberal, right? And I said jokingly that there's no such thing. Truly, there isn't, because we did create a good amount of what Trump is right now. The reason why he was able to be so successful. Now, to break down the first thing I said about how there's no liberals, to be conservative is to be what? To be stuck in the way that you think and stuck to your ideas, right? To be liberal is to be open to everyone's ideas. Now, if we were all truly liberal, we wouldn't be able to look at Trump supporters and talk to them like children the way that we do. Now, we can act like we don't, but we fucking do. You know what I'm saying? We're not open to their ideas.
Well,
we can't even before you say that though, we can't even understand their ideas. And if you can't understand your opponent, then you'll never be able to truly defeat your opponent.
You don't
know what I'm
think
saying?
we understand them, though?
No, I don't.
think we do.
I think
I think I understand what Nico means. We understand them from our perspective, but we don't truly.
we're not willing to embrace their
we
shit.
don't truly.
And I feel like on both sides,
We
you
don't-
have conservatives, you have Republican conservatives, and you have Democratic conservatives. I don't think anybody's truly
I
liberal
think
because no one's willing to budge.
I think the reason that people like Trump is terrifyingly simplistic.
100%.
It's dangerously easy to understand.
Yes.
It's about people trying to revert to not having to use the front of their brains anymore.
Okay.
It's about people trying to create a safe space to be the most caveman
willful
kind of
ignorance.
Yeah, the most.
Yeah, but see, there's also a big population of people that was put into that category of being just what you described. Because there's a good amount of that. However, you also had people that just
by
had,
saying that, you're kind of confirming what Nico's theory is.
you had people that just had questions, right? Simple. Just had questions on Facebook and shit like that. It's almost like laundry. Now, if I take off relatively clean socks, right? And I put them in the hamper with relatively clean clothes, they're still relatively clean. I can wear them again, but I'd rather wash them. But if I take off relatively clean socks and I throw them into dirty clothes, then they're going to be just as dirty as what's around them. Now, when we take that to perspectives and you take what happened on Facebook while Obama was in office, what happened in conversation while Obama was in office, and you had people cutting people off and being like, oh, what did you say? You said that you don't like Obama? Oh, you're a racist. That's an extreme. So similar to the analogy of the dirty clothes, you're putting them in that pile. Now, when enough people put you in a place, you only have people to talk to that sympathize with what you're saying. However, they might be a little further to that side than you are. But when that's all that's around you, you adopt some of their bullshit.
But the problem with that is that sounds to me like we're getting to a point where we're saying, hey, you can't just tell people to get their kids vaccinated. You can't just tell people that that World War II really was in existence, or that the Civil War was.
You gotta
about
leave
slavery.
them up. You gotta
We're basically giving people license to say, yes, just make up whatever reality you want, and we'll just be nice to you and say that everything you don't believe in science. The fact that you want to destroy this whole fucking country because you don't want to do a single thing to stop the environment from collapsing.
Right, but the thing about that, Cyrus,
we're coddling these people.
No, we're not, because the one thing I've noticed with fucking conservatives is that they're willing to talk. To my extreme discomfort sometimes. They're willing to have a conversation.
Not an honest one. They're not willing to do it without lying, though. They're not willing to have the conversation without asking you to accept something that is not true as true.
Right.
That's the
but
base of their conversation.
But here's the thing: they may be convinced of those lies. They may not be,
and they want to be respected for being wrong.
Right.
They want us to not have the ability to say what is black and white.
Well, I'm black, you're white, but. Now, considering what you just said with the passion that you said it with, right? I'm with you. I agree. Now, by that same token, I'm also saying to you that there are people that weren't that far right. You know what I mean? There were people that were in the middle. They had
Bernie supporters,
and then you had people that were even a little further right.
No, I'm saying Bernie supporters who ended up voting for Trump.
Right, libertarian folks. They just had simple questions. And it's like that simple question. And now, outside of the facts that you just gave, there were people that had your same energy as loud as you just got. They would scream at people that they knew and be like, oh, you're doing so much as questioning this kind of perspective that I had. Well, then you're this negative thing. And those people will take that. People react to what you give them. So, like, if you called me a certain, not the N-word, but if you called me a certain name, right? I might punch you in the face. Now, if as a voter, what's my way of punching you in the face? Oh, I'm wrong. I'm a piece of shit. I'm this and I'm that. Well, you know what? Who does he like? He likes Hillary. Fuck that bitch. I just voted for Trump.
And I understand. And the thing is, like, Nico's right. He's actually 100% right.
Neither of us are wrong.
No. My point is not that you're wrong. I think you're both right. But you're coming at it from we can't coddle, and you're coming at it from if you don't show some
you don't have to
conciliatory tone.
You don't have to coddle anyone.
But engage.
What I'm saying is
it's not going to work.
When these people get put into that.
What do you mean these people?
Blacks. No, obviously not, because we're talking about Trump voters. So everyone else.
Oh no, don't qualify the shit now. You said blacks. Mike, I want that at the top. Don't touch me. I want that at the top of the episode. You heard what this colonizer just said?
First of all,
I want that at the top. Don't say shit to me.
I said these people. You don't get to make these people into you people.
Who don't get to make?
You people.
You know what? It's 8:59, and I'm gonna do something that us blacks don't usually do. I'm gonna leave on time. So thank you all for having me. And God bless.
But yeah,
love you, Nico White.
I love you back.
That was fun,
no doubt.
But no, when these people complain about being lumped in with Trump and being pushed into that, you ask questions, you're going to get to something that they insist on believing, that they feel they have the right to not be told not. And I think that is almost always, it's about resentment of the schools teaching kids that it's okay to be gay. It's resentment of the idea that you can't teach your kids not to be misogynists. I think that we're talking about people who are all taking on some kind of offensive belief that they're then saying, you don't have a right to tell me I can't tell my kids not to respect certain kinds of people.
Okay, now to that end, I know I was leaving, but fuck it. To that end, right, to what you just mentioned, like you mentioned Trump being rather simplistic. I feel like that's kind of simplistic for a dude as smart as you are. You know what I'm saying? Because that does encapsulate some of the people that he's talking about. But you do have other people that are just like, when it comes to social stuff, that simply just have questions. Like, okay, well, why is this such a big deal? You know what I mean? And that question would then become, oh, so what? You're saying that you don't understand why trans people being able to use that bathroom is a big deal? Well, then that makes you transphobic. And nah, bro, I just want to know why we got to call the bathroom gender neutral when if we called it bathroom, it's the same fucking thing.
No, I do agree that.
I think that there's, I get to, on a base level, what Nico was saying about not all of the people that voted for Trump started out being extreme. However, I think that it's kind of...
But you also had to excuse a lot of shit to vote for that guy. You had to excuse a lot of bullshit.
And I think that you can't give them a pass. It's like, at this point, they they chose their poison, and now we're on teams now. And like, I'm sorry, but you can't get invited back to the party once you shit in the pool. You
but
don't.
see now,
they shat all over the pool.
I agree
so,
with you
like,
to a point.
I kind of feel like, yeah, they might have been, and I think that Mark was saying that there were Bernie people that voted for Trump because they were so against Hillary.
So they don't get to come back?
They shot in the pool.
Okay, so now where do you put them? Because when you think about how big that layer of support, right? That we won the popular vote, but think about how crazy it would have been if all those people would have voted for Hillary, right? It wouldn't have even been as close as it was, and it wasn't that close. So when you go, well, they don't get to come back. Well, it's not like you don't fucking need them. I'm a liberal. I'm an actual liberal, but we don't have a candidate. And even if we find a candidate,
we're not supposed to have one this early. We're supposed to let people have a primary.
Fuck that. I knew about Obama way before he started running.
Because he was special. He was in the keynote. He gave the keynote in 2004.
But what I'm saying is, I can't name you 12 Democrats that are of an age where I even feel comfortable. If another one of these motherfuckers show up and they're over 65, you're not getting my vote. I don't give a fuck who wins. You're not getting my vote. You are too fucking
I do not
old.
believe you would not vote for Joe Biden against Trump.
I wouldn't. I'm sick of these old fucks.
You would vote for Trump over
No, he said
Biden?
he wouldn't vote. He said he wouldn't
I
vote.
wouldn't vote. Biden won't have any trouble.
Well, you live in New York.
City.
Doesn't matter.
He won't have any trouble. The way he
but
Trump
we need the Nico White of a red
Yes.
state.
But let me consolidate my point before I forget it. I hear you, Marissa, but what I'm saying is you can't go, you shit in the pool, you don't get to come back. If a kid shits in the pool, he gets to come back to that pool.
That's why I don't have children.
I hear you, and that's why I don't have children. But it's one of those things like, you get to come back, just don't shit in this pool again. And if that was, and to your analogy, if a kid did shit in the pool, you got to tell somebody, look, man, if you want to go to the bathroom, there's places for that. If you want to go shit, there's a place for that. You can't do it here.
Normal people pee in the pool. Once you start shit in a pool,
but see
you
that,
can't come
but
back
but
from
see
that.
that's the problem.
That's
can't
a mental
go,
illness.
But see, you can't go. They're not normal people.
They're
You know
not.
what I'm saying? They are. The fact that they were fooled by him the fact that you're fooled by somebody doesn't make you any less normal. We're all fooled for our own shit. Whatever right and wrong is, that is an opinion. However, most of us feel certain shit is right. Murder is fucking wrong. However, there's some weird motherfucker that might be convinced that murder is right. You
Like
look
the
at
NYPD.
right,
You know,
100%.
Honestly, Nico, I respect you, obviously.
Mhm.
But, I mean, I firmly believe.
But now, with that said, I am.
No, I'm going to say it. Honestly, Nico, I firmly believe the importance of telling these people that this is not acceptable is so much that I'm sorry, I have to ask you to leave the show. I'm going to have to ask you to leave because
Oh, shit, Nico's getting the boot. This is crazy.
I don't think we can have a constructive conversation anymore.
There's a couple security guards coming over. Both black guys, though.
Hey man, hey! Don't fucking touch me!
Holy shit, this is getting crazy.
Touch me! I'm leaving.
This is getting fucking nuts.
Fuck Cyrus, man.
Yo, I can't
Mike,
stand for
you
this.
just
I'm
gonna
gonna
sit
leave
here
too.
and let
No,
this happen?
if you're taking him out, I'm leaving
Marissa,
too.
You gonna let this
Don't
happen?
I'm gonna walk out with
Yes,
you.
you are. Well, you know what?
Get your hands off him.
What's the name of this fucking podcast? Say it, Mike.
Nico, I'm
What's
making
the
a video.
Name of this podcast?
Nico, I got this
Blame-
on video. Don't worry.
It's blame storming, one word. When we get that on the video, too.
I got this on video.
Nah, I'm just fucking with y'all. I'm fine. And by the way, I don't need no Trump supporters following me on nothing. You would not like me. Just know that.
What's that in his hand?
That's what happens, right? If you say anything conciliatory, the Trump supporters say, "Oh, maybe we got a
You
friend."
want to tell them your Twitter handle before you go?
Oh, okay. If you're interested in following me and continuing this conversation, I don't want to continue it. But find me online on Twitter. It's at NEKO_White93. If you want Instagram, it's Nico White93. And if you want Facebook, like my fan page, Nico White, NEKOWHIT. God bless. Peace.
That's, of course, because his name is Nico White and he weighs 93 pounds. And thank you.
You weigh 97 and a 5'3" body. You 39-year-old man in a fucking toddler's form. Dave Cyrus. I want you all to know that Dave Cyrus is the loveliest human being that you can meet whose facial hair does not yet connect.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's why I still look this way.
He's only 39.
I'm
Nico. Give him a
incredibly
chance.
pristine. I look like someone who's only in his first of 10 weeks of electrolysis to get rid of facial hair.
Hey, I'll see y'all at Roast Battle.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna roast battle tonight. Chris Crespo is on tonight.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He's facing Catherine Zinni.
Somebody that Marissa would say is not a normal person. Tell him why.
He was on last week. Yes. Chris Crespo. He's referring to the fact that he's Cuban.
Okay.
That's slanderous.
Yes. Well, Crespo was on the last episode.
That's not what he's
Yeah.
referring to, though.
No, he's referring to the fact that he has. He's armless.
Armless.
Yeah, but he didn't vote for
Did
Trump.
you say Cuban?
Hell no. Yeah, he's Cuban.
Oh, okay. But that's not the strange part about him is that he's armless.
I assume that's what Nico.
He wouldn't be
I never
normal
met
if
him.
he voted for Trump.
No, he's the only person in his family who didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
He
Nico
comes
or
from abnormal
no,
Crespo?
stock.
Crespo. Yeah.
Crespo.
I'm gonna go ahead and say most of Nico's family did not vote for Trump.
probably not.
But no, you know, it's the real argument people keep having. We keep having this argument of that you're losing Trump people by being harsh with them. And look, I agree. I don't want a bunch of, condescending 14-year-olds, destroying our ability to have progress by just trying to win points by attacking people. But at the same
You
time,
talking about the Parkland kids?
no. Oh, no. I'm not talking
No,
about
no,
them.
no.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about random kids.
I know I'm really getting old and grumpy because I do get annoyed by the Parkland kids, even though
Well, the Parkland kids.
I'm just like, oh, another musical.
Oh, I have no problem with the Parkland kids. The problem I have.
They're gonna do
is
like a
when-
Rent version of how long it's been since the last shooting.
Yeah.
375 hours ago.
That's about the most it will be. Yeah.
Probably.
No, the Parkland kids, I have no problem with them at all.
No, they're
I'm really
great.
glad about
So
what
I'm
they're
just an
doing.
asshole.
I get annoyed when old people are like, man, these kids are so great. And it's like, just stop groveling and pretending that this is about the generation. No, this is about these specific kids trying to do something positive and about the fact that lots of other people, all ages, agree with them, but we don't listen to them because they didn't get shot at.
Right.
Because no one gets attention unless there's something scandalous about them, and that these kids happen to be able to use this tragedy to get a voice.
We need nursing home shootings to get anything done in this country. If the older people were getting shot at, it might change.
They don't. They would all just be talking about how we need to stop the Mexicans from invading.
Probably they would blame it on Manuel
I
Noriega.
think that if it was like an actual NRA headquarters that got shot up, I think then it would start changing.
Nah, they'd be like, we were up for the fight. We're so, we thought we'd take them down.
I'll say this: if an NRA headquarters got shut up and no one working there managed to stop the shooter before he killed some people,
Bad for PR.
They would all unanimously say, "We have to say it's a conspiracy." I don't think they could handle it. I don't think they can emotionally handle being disproven that badly. I think that they would full bore go along with we have to say it's the government. We have to say it's false flag because otherwise we're going to lose everything. And that's what Republicans are doing now. They're just going along with the craziest fucking...
Well, they're saying Parkland
People
is
are
false
people
flag,
are believing
Vegas
it, man.
is false
People are believing
flag.
all this shit. We're like you guys say, we're in a post-truth world. It's very scary. And I meet well-meaning people who believe this shit. Now, I don't believe all of it, but I've met well-meaning people who dabble in this shit.
Well, because paranoid schizophrenia used to be a very isolated disease, and people who had it used to feel like there's something wrong with them, but now they get to go online and meet people who agree with them, who reinforce that.
But they're not all schizophrenic. Some of them may have features.
Well, paranoid schizophrenia very often leads to conspiracy theories,
Especially about the Jews.
Yeah, well, because that disease specifically makes you find meaning in tiny details, and then you start building these fake realities.
I know.
Because anything interesting to you is what's true.
And they say there's very little hope for these people in terms of proving them wrong.
Delusional disorders are almost never cured.
Even with medication?
Yeah.
With medication sometimes.
Delusional disorders specifically are considered one of the ones that medication doesn't tend to cure. Though I have
schizophrenic can get some help.
Schizophrenics are different because I have had multiple people tell me that when they took medication for their schizophrenia, their conspiracy theories evaporated, which is a really damning indictment of where these theories come from. Because we need to accept that this is a mental illness problem, and the problem is no one who believes these things could possibly admit to themselves that they might believe it because they're mentally ill. Even if they know they're mentally ill, they'll still say, yeah, but my trust of literally everything Trump says has nothing to do with my parents.
What about a confirmation bias? That could be part of it, too. Just believing what you want. And
on some level, though.
And then confirming it with bullshit evidence.
If it is April of 2018 and you still trust Donald Trump, I don't think that's just not being a bright person anymore. I think there's something worse going on. It just
kind of feels like like a mass hysteria or a mass psychosis with like this group of people that kind of felt like, I don't know, that their life hasn't gone their way and they expected that life was always supposed to go their way and it didn't. And, we had a black president and so now we're going to vote for this racist because like we're supposed to be on top. And it just feels like that it's just a segment of the population has like just had a psychotic break at the same time. That's what it feels like to me.
Culture has a weird way of breaking bad sometimes. I mean, this isn't
Yes,
about...
they're all on meth. We get it.
Well, I mean, culture has a bad way of just, 100 years ago, you could hang someone and people would tear their body apart and sell the parts of it on the side of the road. That happened in America.
And hanging someone would be a spectator sport.
Yeah. 200 years ago, if you hang someone in France, everyone who's anyone wanted to watch it and wanted to celebrate it and wanted to feel and felt cool. Human beings are capable of really horrible things if they're encouraged just the right way, which is exactly what Alex Jones and Donald Trump are doing. They are pushing the malleable American masses toward a cliff we cannot back away from.
But what I don't understand is people that claim to have so much religion and righteousness and morality, like evangelicals, like how do they get behind something that's so transparently immoral?
Because they're phonies. Their ideology is not that of the scriptures that they've read about Jesus. Their ideology is something different, and they just organize as Christians.
Yeah, they're authoritarians who use Jesus as an excuse to exert power over others.
Yeah.
So
the only thing that makes them Christian is that they're organized as Christian white people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that and during the Bush administration we all said, these evangelicals, we don't believe that they really believe these things.
The only thing they might really preach is restraint, things like no sex, no this, no that. Those are the only things they actually really adhere to.
They only seem to believe in the Old Testament. They don't seem to believe in the New Testament because they never seem to quote Jesus, because Jesus said you can't go to heaven if you are rich, and not one of those people believes that.
Right.
Jesus talked about not fighting back. Jesus talked about giving all your money to the poor. No, they much rather talk about the Old Testament God who says, I'll torture you for doing anything I say not to do.
And whenever that's pointed out, there's no response.
Never, ever.
It's the only thing they don't respond to.
They lie. These evangelicals openly lie about what Jesus said to make it more convenient for them. When you say to them, Jesus was not ambiguous about this. He said you can't go to heaven if you're rich. They will sputter until you walk away, because they can't accept the idea that they are just liars who refuse to believe in
capitalism is incompatible with
it is.
With
it
Christ.
Absolutely is. Jesus said it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven. And I've had people literally fucking say, well, he meant that as a fairly complex metaphor. No, he didn't. That's not a complex metaphor. It means impossible.
It's a thought experiment.
It means literally impossible.
Yeah.
And that's where these people like Trump for, because they don't give a shit about Jesus. They give a shit about a daddy who's going to spank if you do something wrong. It's about worship of authoritarianism, because a lot of people in this world just want a daddy and they want a dictator.
Speaking of daddies that want to spank you if you're doing something wrong.
Whoa. Where's this going?
So Trump has been going off the rails about the caravans of Mexicans that are supposed to be approaching our border.
Hondurans, aren't they?
Yeah, they're Hondurans.
Well, he
Mexico.
calls them Mexicans.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. It's just...
And the amazing thing about this is that if you read the story, you find out that these caravans that he's saying we need the military to point guns at,
women and children.
They're not just women and children, because that at first, you're right, is a very big important thing. These are almost all women and children. They're coming here legally. They are coming to apply for legal status as refugees. There is no accusation that they're trying to enter illegally. This is showing the same thing they always say. How many Republicans, how many Trump fans keep saying this is about illegal immigrants? We love real immigrants. No, you don't, because you're talking about shooting people for coming here to apply for status.
And this is something they do annually around the same time every year. Yeah. So like this is
this is a publicity stunt almost for the wall.
Yeah. He's just trying to scare racists. That's all this is.
Well, you don't have to, they're already scared.
They're coming for you. They're coming.
Well, he needs it every day. He needs something new every day to scare these people into submission. And the idea that we're talking about these people like they're criminals, when these are women and children applying for refugee status, you know what? If you don't want to give them that status, I understand I disagree with. I understand that's your belief. If you believe that we shouldn't have refugees, or you believe that they're just not really refugees, fine. But to want to kill these people,
to vilify them, turn them into a cabal,
put guns on these people for doing the process that we told them you're supposed to do, to fill out the paperwork that we said, and then we'll decide. What the fuck is wrong with you? How can any decent human being talk about these people like they're criminals when they're just asking? They're not breaking in. They're saying, "Can we enter the country?" Say no, you heartless piece of shit.
Yeah, but he's got to dramatize it, for his base.
Right, and he's saying that they're like, he's literally trying to describe them as like marauding hordes of rapists that have embedded themselves and taken women and children captive as they're traveling from Honduras to the wall so that they can go and rape Texans.
And that appeals to the base instincts of a lot of Americans.
You know how weird it is that you're not exaggerating right now?
I know.
What you just said, anyone who didn't know the story would think that you're making it up in a hysterical moment, and everything you said is exactly what he's been
Dave,
saying.
To me, that's the craziest thing about conspiracy theories now, is that there are so many actual conspiracies being revealed, but the conspiracy theorist by definition is wrong, so they go to these other. Also, they're also often right wing, right?
Because the conspiracy theorists
they're coming from the right.
They're only willing to believe things that follow some sort of ideology that helps them.
Right.
It's sort of like how, remember we had like several hurricanes in a row. I just imagine that all these conspiracy people, all these Alex Jones people, were sitting and be like, "Oh man, bunch of hurricanes in a row. I'm going to start doing internet research and try to figure out the truth of why it's happening. It's climate change? Nope. Got to find another one. Got to find something not climate change to explain this.
No,
because
but
I can't believe it.
But what I'm saying is that like there's so many actual conspiracies, like Trump portraying these people as criminals who are coming. And he's gonna want to stick the military on.
Relying on people,
right? That's a government conspiracy, basically.
Because he knows the truth and he's lying to us.
So there is a lot to. If you actually like, if what you want is conspiracies, they're out there, and you can find real ones and talk about them and be pissed about them. But these people are latching onto these crazy things because, it's confirmation bias.
But there's also like conspiracies coming from the left and the right. So like if you take
what's coming from the left besides anti-vax, nothing.
Well, and that's even,
that's the only one
I've
that comes from the
heard
left.
from about the Vegas shooting. So like,
but that's not really from the left. That's more about the gun control issue, right?
Well,
the government perpetrated this. Don't get crazy about guns.
What conspiracy theory are you saying about Vegas?
Okay, so
you don't know that there's conspiracy theories about the Vegas shooting? Every shooting has a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, but I mean, I know of the right wing one that it's a
false
flag.
Yeah. Right. So there's extreme left and extreme right agree upon the fact that they all believe that this Vegas shooting is a false flag. So the right is saying that this shooting happened so that they'll take guns away, and that the left or the government or whomever in charge created this Vegas shooting so that they would have be able to take guns away. The far left is saying that the right and the government created this shooting so that they would arm people more and that they would start regulating gun control less, and that they would kind of open up the doors to take away civil rights and become a martial.
Equal glimpses of the untrue, but just...
I think that the right side of that is ridiculously bigger. And also, it's just that there are certain liberals who are just too dumb or not mentally sound enough to not realize they're being manipulated by right-wing theories, because these are all coming.
Yeah,
these are all coming
from the right.
A lot of left-wing people, the 9/11 truther thing started out with people on the left, but it became a right-wing conspiracy. But the thing is, we realized later, all those people on the left, they were being lied to by people on the right, by these militia people.
And those are the ones that say that like all of the buildings were actually explosives and not the actual planes, right?
Yeah, and that was all.
Yeah.
That was always
it was all debunked in Popular Mechanics.
It was beautiful the way that the way someone who can actually do basic math can show you how easily it is to disprove it.
Well, that's the problem. So much so much illiteracy, science illiteracy and math illiteracy, and then
combined with a dangerous amount of ego, where people who don't know anything are incapable of believing that there's a concept of someone being smarter than them.
Right.
So they start just following everything. And it's because when you're paranoid or specifically schizophrenic or just gullible and dumb, and bored, you just start believing something because when you believe in 9/11 conspiracy, suddenly the world is a much less scary place. Because it means, oh, there's no such thing as chaos. There's one villain, there's one enemy, and it's called the government. If we stop that, the world will be perfect and there'll be no violence.
Right.
So they're just scared children who are just trying to build a false reality that makes them feel better about themselves.
Right.
They don't believe that. They think that we're gullible for, being so dumb that we think that planes just make those white lines of smoke out of nothing.
Yeah.
that those have to be some kind of conspiracy because these are bored idiots.
So, did you guys see that we had the first prosecution in the not prosecution, but sentencing of the Mueller investigation this week?
Yes.
The
son of an oligarch.
Son-in-law. He's not of blood.
The only
His
one
wife.
who could ever reach me was the son of an oligarch.
Vandersloot is. I'm horrible.
It's not Vandersloot. No, it's not Johan Vandersloot. It'd be really great. Although, to be fair, if he was a free man, he very well might be a part of Trump's campaign. But Johan Vandersloot, the guy
No,
who
what is
killed,
the guy's name?
The guy who killed Natalie Holloway is not. It's like it's a Dutch name.
Allegedly.
Right?
I think it's
allegedly.
I think it's Vandersloot or a Vandersloot. I can't.
It's
I
not.
don't-
It's definitely not Vandersloot.
All
know.
right, so maybe it's Vandersloot.
That would be really cool if it was part of the Vandersloot family.
It probably is. All those murderous bastards.
Now we're looking it up. Okay, go on.
So he got sentenced this week. He got a $20,000 fine and 30 days in prison. And did you guys find this to be like? Did it give you the warm and fuzzies? Did you or did it make you angry? Because it pissed me the fuck off.
What part pissed you off?
The whole thing pissed me off. So
That he's getting
30 days.
Oh,
And
right.
and he's like literally the son-in-law of an oligarch. $20,000 he wipes his ass with. Like, this is not painful at all.
Do we know for certain that sentence wasn't in exchange for something?
They're saying that he is not cooperating with the investigation. Like, as opposed to George Papadopoulos or Sam
Gates.
Nunberg.
I mean, this could just be a warning shot. This
Yeah.
could be a warning shot.
I don't know what he was.
I think this is foreshadowing that this whole investigation is going to end up being bullshit, and no one's doing any time at this at all.
Well, Robert Mueller is not interested in getting some son of an oligarch. That is a stepping stone. So
That's what I mean.
I think that he's treating this like any other organized crime thing. He's trying to just screw with the low level people and get them up the chain. I don't think that we should be looking at whatever sentence this guy as evidence of what he actually wants to do to Trump. Because don't forget, if Trump did a month in jail, that would be a problem for his presidency anyway. I believe
If Trump's son did a month in jail, it'd be a problem for his presidency.
Yeah, getting actual time is what's important here. It's not like this guy is who we're blaming for everything. I have to believe that this guy, if he's getting a month, there's more to the story. He could get a month instead of 10 years. Well, just because you do a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we already know that Gates is going to make a deal, and I'm sure Manafort eventually will when he sees how much time he's going to spend behind bars, because Manafort's just holding out for a pardon. Like I said, I don't think we can really read Mueller's mind yet, because Mueller's not telling it. He's not being public about this.
He's not showing his cards, but I found this really disconcerting, and I found it really disheartening, because I kind of
what you're saying is your perception of it was like, this is just like a little.
This is bullshit.
This is some
all right. Rich guy that's going to do.
And you think it's
going to
be wrapped up soon, and this is going to be the whole thing.
He's doing less time than fucking Martha Stewart, and
Right.
Well, he may not be the major player
Right.
either.
There's two ways to look at it.
He's just a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
But he lied to the FBI. Like, I know people in Facebook jail for longer for saying all men are scum than fucking 30 days. Like, this guy is going to be in some sort of country club prison. He's going to be like doing fucking yoga for 30 days. He's going to come
affect
out.
his life negatively to serve a prison sentence somehow.
I think the only thing that's negative is that I think he's going to be deported, but his dad is great.
Yeah,
well,
he's not gonna.
his
He's not going to
father-in-law
struggle.
is an
He's
oligarch.
not the target of this investigation.
That's what I'm thinking.
He's just he's periphery.
Burn the whole fucking house down is what I feel like. And I don't care how small they are, how big they are, burn the whole thing.
Well, if this guy may not have had his hands as dirty as other people. I don't think Jared. I think
You don't
Jared's
set
in
an
a lot of
example
trouble.
with 30 days.
Well, it's not about setting an example. He may not. They just may not have had a greater crime on him, or he might have cut a deal to get less time. And I think we all agree we want to. I'll give anybody all the immunity they want if it goes up the chain.
But are we even certain that that Mueller has the authority to like even prosecute Trump at this point? Like, we don't know that he can even.
It would be like Nixon. They have to impeach him in order to indict him. And with Nixon, the only reason Nixon didn't get indicted is because Gerald Ford pardoned him. Nixon would have gone to jail. So I think that it very well may be that Mueller has evidence that could, one, lead directly to an impeachment, and then the impeachment would happen with the knowledge that once he is no longer in office, he will automatically be charged with certain things a president cannot be indicted for. And that's fine. That's okay.
But that's saying that if the Democrats win the midterms and then they start an impeachment process because these Republicans are too fucking spineless and pussy to do anything with him.
They're only spineless and pussies because they don't want to lose votes. The second the American people have to finally acknowledge the truth of the investigation.
Or once the economy crashes.
Yes, which he's doing by making all these horrible decisions.
We have the second worst quarter since the Great Depression right now.
Give it time. That's not going to be the one.
It's relative right now because it's just
give
a correction.
It time.
But
once people start actually seeing the effects of this economy, once they start seeing what these tariffs are going to actually do to their ability to buy things and ability to get jobs, it's all going to crash around him. And the Republicans are going to fall all over themselves trying to throw him under the bus first so that they can maintain their careers. And I don't even think we need a Democratic Congress because the Republicans voted against Nixon. Republicans threw Nixon under that bus too. And he had a lot more respect in that house than Trump does.
Oh, yeah. Right, but that was a time where they actually cared about respect. Now they're just not running anymore. Like, we don't even know if Paul Ryan is going to run yet.
To be fair, half those Republicans while Nixon was being impeached were people who would have gone back to segregation in a heartbeat. So they were not the greatest people either. You're right. There's more spine then than now. But I'm saying Paul Ryan is desperate to throw Trump under that bus the second he doesn't think he's going to lose a re-election because of it. Right. Every one of these guys is dying.
I don't even
to
know
make him
trying.
They're self-protective right now in their defense of him.
They'll be self-protective in their destruction of him too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get really discouraged because I kind of just feel like, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I just kind of think we're going to go through this entire thing and then just like a couple of people are going to do 30 days, maybe 16, 24 months, and I think that he's just going to walk on the whole thing. Because he walks on everything.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible that's what the whole end result is. But let's hope that there's more.
He might walk, but
you guys have way too much optimism.
It seems to me like they're going to get him on something. Like when they went after Al Capone, they got him on tax evasion. You know?
The difference is Al Capone had an 85 IQ, so he was a lot smarter than Trump. That's the one thing about this. Trump is so bad at this that I do not believe for a second that he's just
covered all his
lucky.
Right, or that he's covered all his tracks.
Never. No fucking way. Yeah. He put Jared in charge of stuff. Jared is dumber than him.
Yeah.
So that's the one great thing about this.
What is that old saying? God protects babies and fools.
Yeah, well, just a saying.
And there's no God.
Yeah. I think that we look at this and we see that Trump was probably he was openly saying, "Please, Russia, help me. Putin, I know I owe you, but can you help me out?"
And he still won.
Yeah, but he won because people covered it up for him and people didn't know about it, and now things are coming out. I just look at this as, thank God a smarter man didn't do what he did. Thank fucking God an intelligent, shrewd man wasn't the next Hitler who was going to come in here and get all the racists together and say, "I will be the voice you racists have been waiting for."
Right.
But he has been.
Well, give it time.
But he's a bit inept. You know, I know what Dave means. Like, say you had somebody as bright as Obama on the right who was as evil as Trump.
Who's that charismatic, who is able to... Because what Trump has done is he's gotten everyone in this country who said, "I'm sick that even the Republicans think that my beliefs are too repugnant to back up," like calling every Mexican a rapist and all these things that he's saying to just get the sick, hateful side of this country on his side, because no other politician had the lack of class to want those people's attention. We clearly could have ended up with someone who would have destroyed everything, who would have really destroyed this earth if he was just a little bit more mentally sound than Trump.
What you're saying basically is we elected Trump. We could have elected anyone basically in the public eye.
Yeah.
And we could have elected someone much more dangerous.
We could have elected
ultimately because
we could have actually elected Alex Jones.
yeah,
Or David
Bannon.
Duke, Steve Bannon, David Duke.
if they were a little more high profile, if you had a chance to watch them on network television for a few years before, so
Yeah.
he was in your living room and you were familiar with him. Yeah.
No, I mean, I the only problem is whenever you make this argument, especially with the liberal version of Trump, it's so hard to think of anyone on that level because there's no one that horrible and crazy.
Michael Moore would piss off Trump supporters as much as Trump pisses off us.
But he wouldn't be
But
a
he
classist
wouldn't
piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. He'd probably be a fine president.
And he wouldn't try to start wars constantly.
No, there's
He
no
wouldn't play game-
moral equivalency.
Yeah, he wouldn't play
But there's
games with our
there's
lives.
only an equivalency in terms of how it would irate.
We had a conversation about is Al Sharpton the liberal version of Trump, and I said that's really unfair because Al Sharpton would actually try to be a good president.
Yeah, he would.
He may not be a good president, but he certainly wouldn't be mentally ill and erratic and crazy all the time. He would try. He would just be a guy who had a lot of baggage from his older career of having a fairly sleazy reputation. But there's no comparison. When I think of
he'd be more like a cult leader. He'd wear nice watches and look good, but he wouldn't be starting wars.
Maybe Gary Busey would be as bad.
Busey's insane, but how do we even know he's a liberal? Does the guy even have an ideology?
I'm not saying liberal. I'm saying literally any human being I can think of who would be on the same level of incompetence as Trump.
If Busey's as crazy as he looks, then yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's crazy. I think he just has crazy teeth.
Busey, I don't know. I don't know anything about his actual behavior.
I've heard his brain damage.
They found
is
him
pretty
in bar.
extensive.
They found him like after being disappeared for a couple weeks. Once.
Well, he had like an accident. He had like brain damage. He's been weird since then. I'm not saying I'm not attacking Gary Busey. I'm just saying I cannot think of someone.
I'd vote for Busey over Trump probably.
Of course.
Though.
Yeah, of course. I don't know who I would not vote for.
We play this game all the
a
time.
smarter version. So like Bannon, maybe not because
That'd be
Bannon-
worse because you don't want someone at least with
Capable.
Trump, you had the security of knowing that he's just too much
He's
of
an
an idiot
idiot.
to get these things done.
Yeah. So someone with Trump's ideology who's smarter basically would be the only threat.
Yeah, like Milo.
Yeah. Although I don't know what Milo would do.
How
Well,
did you just throw a bunch of twinks at Milo? He'd get distracted.
I feel like Milo would probably just kill himself if he won the office.
On national TV
Yeah.
at the inauguration.
Oh, he would have to do it on TV because he wants attention that
Yeah.
badly.
That's where we're headed. We're headed for a Milo presidential inauguration live suicide. That's what this
possible.
country's headed for.
I think that there's a lot of people, but we have this weird thing right now where negative attention helps you. We've crossed a threshold of an extremely dangerous cultural problem of you could be a bad person and you win because of it. And once that happens, I mean,
Depends on what you're. Well, I don't know. I guess it doesn't depend on what you're doing. I mean, I guess.
that's
Yeah.
why Roy Moore almost won.
Right. Roy Moore was
Yeah.
diddling kids or they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, now what state is it that they have like the guy who's like in the Nazi party and he's like a Holocaust survivor and he's like the only Republican running? I can't remember.
I actually forget which state
He's
it
a
is.
Holocaust survivor, or he was a
denier.
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 He's
and
an,
he was a-
the guy was
he's
an
a-
actual
in
member of the American Nazi Party.
yeah.
Now, to be fair, somewhat, the Republican establishment is not happy with the fact that he's running as a Republican. You
but
just
they
can't.
didn't send anyone to.
I don't
to
know if
go
that's true.
against him.
Right, they didn't bother to send anyone because they weren't even because it wasn't even they just weren't even trying. But I mean, I let's see what happens by the time the election happens because I know the Republicans don't want him either.
They're trying but I think just by the mere fact that they didn't even send somebody to go against him, because you'd have to say to yourself, okay, we could literally run a mule against this guy. We're going to assume that our base is just enough and moral enough not to vote for a Nazi Holocaust denier. But it's like they didn't even bother. It's like
There are gradations of contemptuous conspiracy theories, huh? Like there are like a level where they get worse in terms of how much contempt you have for the holder of one.
yeah.
Right. I mean, exactly. Because if you believe that, like, people believed in aliens or Bigfoot, it wasn't like a big deal.
Right.
It was like, hey, maybe.
Right.
It wasn't.
Aliens have been here before, or whatever.
It wasn't the hardest thing to
Yeah.
believe.
It's not
If you
like
believe
the
that-
Loch Ness Monster, you fool.
Yeah, the JFK assassination. There was a lot of like reasons why a lot of normal people were like, oh, maybe they did.
Yeah.
But once
Even the Pizza Hut or the pizza
Pizzagate.
restaurant
Pizzagate?
is like
Oh.
okay, so these people might be crazy who believe it, but they're like, okay, they don't want kids to be hurt. All right.
Right, but the thing is, when you get to the level of the conspiracies that say Roseanne believes, you're saying you're a fucking lunatic and we need to stop respecting the even slightest things you say. Don't forget, Roseanne is the one who says that, she believes literally all of them. She believes in Pizzagate. She believes that Obama is a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, why does Roseanne Barr have a voice? Why do we care?
Not.
Why does she have a voice?
But,
why is NPR talking about her for 2 hours today?
So we have have to wrap this up. We got a little less than 2 minutes. But before we go, Mark, where can everybody find you on social media?
That's nice.
What gigs do you have going on next?
Social media, I'm on Twitter as Mark with a C, A Gerber like the baby food. Instagram, I'm on Instagram as Photo No She Didn't. Photo No She Didn't.
Get it?
It's a real obnoxious name. It sounds like something I came up with when I was like 16, but sadly I was like 37. I don't have a fan page on Facebook like Nico White, but you could just add me as a regular friend and I'll accept you because I'm that much of a loser.
Yay.
Cool.
And you could see me Friday the 20th at Comedy Juice at Gotham Comedy Club.
Nice. Dave?
I'll be in it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Dave Cyrus on Twitter.
I don't know how much promotion I get. Can I
Instagram.
keep going? Can I go into my summer schedule here?
No. That's enough. And I'll also be on 20th, 420, doing your show. Where's that?
Broadway Comedy Club.
Nice.
Oh, 420. Shit.
Yeah,
I don't know how to think
follow
of that.
you on-
And I'm
420
opening. You
show.
got to say something about power,
So,
unless the host does.
Follow you on social media, Dave.
Yeah, Dave Cyrus.
So you can follow us on Twitter at The Blame Storm. Please rate, review us on iTunes, and you can follow me on Twitter at Marissa Smith. I'm going to be at Greenwich Village Comedy Club on the 14th and at Broadway Comedy Club 420. And we will talk to you guys soon, you guys. Have a good night.